Behind the rhymes.
The mountain we all climb.
Fallen. The ground was open, life put in, seasons gone, winter, spring. Autumn came, flowers sprung, no fruit to bear, but some to come. People came, leaders went. As the weather changes, the fruit grew without lament. Now the trees are in the unread library. Red stars fell, they avoid war and bribery. Now they fall without a care, as they have always done, with or without people there.
What lies behind these rhymes, Andrew?
Um, this is another sort of metaphor. It's obviously about an orchard, but it's also a metaphor for the changes that countries experience as plants grow and sort of regimes change. Actually, nature carries on around, not really noticing.
Where did you write this poem?
So I actually wrote this poem on a walk in England during the second lockdown, I think it was in 2020. But it's obviously not about England. It's actually inspired by an orchard in St Naum, which is in Ohrid, which is in Macedonia.
There's an interesting connection here between spring, summer, seasons changing, and fruit growing. And then the poem becomes political by you mentioning red stars falling and bribery. So, are you talking about the only permanence in life is change? Or what's the relation between nature and politics in this poem?
Well, it's that the apple will fall. It doesn't care whether it's a communist government in charge of the country, whether it's a socialist government in charge of the country, whether it's no government in charge of the country, the tree will sprout fruit. It will drop on the floor. If somebody picks it from the tree and eats it or makes use of it, that's great. But if not, it will just rot on the floor. It doesn't care. It has no invested interest there, and actually, it's about the futility and the powerlessness of human beings. Actually, when these people think that life is so important, that the things that they do in politics is so important, that the things that they do for their countries are so important, actually, it's not, because they're gone. The tree will carry on.
The way you explain it, now the poem sort of gets another dimension. So it's also related to whether nature wins. As we all know these days, especially young people, but everyone who has a conscious attitude towards our planet is concerned with the way things are developing. So, are you saying nature would prevail?
So I don't see nature as a physical thing, and I know there's this sort of movement of Mother Nature, Mother Earth, this Gaia, this Gaia belief there, which is actually quite an interesting belief. But the world will adjust and actually will carry on long after we're gone, and after all the concrete structures have dissolved and disappeared. And look at the past for some of that. I mean, yes, some of the major structures of the past, like the pyramids, some of the Roman structures still exist, but how many actually went, and how many will never be seen again? Wood rots at the end of the day. Wood that's cut from a tree rots, but a tree can carry on forever. Um, I mean, you come from, and you may take, offense to this comment. You come from a former communist country, Yugoslavia. Is that how we perceive it in the West, as a former communist country? Um, how do you relate to this poem?
I found the poem very interesting. I actually like that aspect of the poem about the permanence of nature, that it's basically going to go on long after any system basically fails, because what has a beginning has an end. So whether we're talking about communism, you mentioned Yugoslavia there, a socialist country, which doesn't exist anymore. And I was born and lived the first 18 years of my life in the reality that was Yugoslavia. And now, if you mention Yugoslavia to a person who is 18 today, they will probably not know what you're talking about. So, for me, the biggest value of this poem is the comfort that it gives, that things will continue despite human structures falling apart. Um, Now that we've discussed the possible meaning of this poem, would you like to read it for our listeners again, please?
Fallen. The ground was open, life put in, seasons gone, winter, spring. Autumn came, flowers sprung, no fruit to bear, but some to come. People came, leaders went. As the weather changes, the fruit grew without lament. Now the trees are in an unread library. Red stars fell, they avoid war and bribery. Now they fall without a care, as they have always done, with or without people there.